Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the true scale of an ancient society that completely, and I mean literally, shatters our modern expectations of the past. Today, we're looking at a civilization that flourished along the banks of the mighty Indus and the now lost Saraswati rivers. The sheer magnitude of their achievements has been buried under millennia of dirt and soil. But recent archaeological breakthroughs, well, they are completely rewriting history. We're exploring a people who weren't just surviving day to day. No, they were thriving in a way that feels surprisingly modern. Let me ask you a quick question. When you think of the grandest, most expansive ancient empire, what immediately pops into your head? Do you picture the colossal monuments of ancient Egypt? Or maybe the sprawling city-states of Mesopotamia? You know, for the longest time, history books placed those exact civilizations at the absolute center of the ancient world. But here's the crazy part. The archaeological footprint of the Indus Valley Civilization vastly outsized both of them. We are talking hundreds of hectares, reaching a level of urban planning that was just totally unprecedented for its time. There is a massive, profound contrast in how these ancient societies actually operated. While ancient Egypt is famous for building massive pyramids, using forced labor just to glorify god-kings, the Indus Valley took a completely different path. They didn't waste their resources on giant monuments to human ego. Instead, they focused heavily on civic engineering. They built these highly advanced, citizen-focused cities featuring straight roads, baked bricks with a precise 1:2:4 ratio, and incredibly elaborate public drainage systems. It's kind of mind-blowing, but this was a civilization that seemingly valued the welfare of the many over the glory of the one. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that by the middle of the 3rd millennium BCE, the Indus Valley wasn't just surviving in some isolated bubble. They were a globalized economic superpower. They built a massive maritime network reaching straight through the Persian Gulf, importing lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, and exporting highly sought-after manufactured goods to Oman, Bahrain, and Iran. They were essentially the manufacturing and trading hub of the ancient Asian world. It proves they weren't just restricted to their own lands, but were incredibly capable and daring seafarers. In fact, their maritime merchants were so successful that they're actually written about in the historical records of other empires. It's true. In ancient Mesopotamian cuneiform texts, the Indus Valley was referred to as Maluha. Ships from Maluha regularly docked in Mesopotamian ports. There was even literary proof of these Maluhan people, traders from the Indus Valley, actually settling down in Sumer and totally assimilating into the local culture. That is a level of international presence and cross-cultural exchange that is absolutely staggering for a society living over 4,000 years ago. And all of this brilliantly illustrates just how modern their internal economy felt. It wasn't just international trade. Their domestic supply chain was an absolute marvel. Raw materials like copper, marine shells, and special stones were sourced from regions like Baluchistan and Gujarat. These were transported to major urban centers where highly skilled artisans processed them into beautiful luxury goods. But get this. Here is the kicker. As these goods passed through the fortified gateways of Harappan cities, they were systematically taxed. Archaeologists have actually found standardized weights sitting right near these gates, which points to a highly organized, regulated economy where trade was strictly monitored. To put this into perspective, let's talk about a specific site. For decades, Mohenjo-daro in modern-day Pakistan was considered the undisputed megacity of this era, but recent excavations have completely flipped the script. The metropolis of Rakhigarhi, located in the modern Indian state of Haryana, spanned a massive 550 hectares. That is roughly double the size of Mohenjo-daro. Because of its sheer, unbelievable scale, archaeologists and experts now believe Rakhigarhi was very likely the central capital of this entire sprawling civilization. Just walking through the remains of Rakhigarhi gives us this incredible window into their daily lives. Archaeologists have found thousands of everyday items like beautifully preserved, wheel-made, red-baked pottery. But what's really fascinating here is the homogeneity of it all. There's this uniform standard of craftsmanship that you find not just in one city, but across the entire vast territory of the Indus influence. It speaks to a highly organized, standardized society where technology and design were widely shared. It's almost like a massive ancient franchise. They also utilized incredibly sophisticated domestic technologies. Artifacts like perforated vessels unearthed right at the Rakhigarhi site showcase their advanced manufacturing capabilities and their deep focus on practicality in the home. Whether they were using it for straining liquids, brewing, or food preparation, it highlights a people who were constantly innovating solutions to improve their everyday quality of life. But hey, life wasn't just about utility and work. They had a remarkably rich material culture. Their skilled craftsmen produced everything from practical tools, parallel-sided blades, and copper weapons for hunting, to items made purely for joy. Archaeologists have unearthed intricate terracotta animal figurines. We're talking a four-horned deer, an elephant calf, and even a dog with a little leash. They even made miniature wheels and toys for their children. It shows us a society that had the security and the prosperity to actually focus on art, play, and childhood. And honestly, that is just a beautiful detail to uncover from 5,000 years ago. And they're artisans. They were absolute masters of their craft. Bead makers in the Indus Valley were literally renowned worldwide. They created these long, cylindrical carnelian beads and polished them to a high mirror shine. To drill holes into these incredibly hard stones, they used a specialized, super hard stone material known to modern archaeologists as ernestite. These beads were so highly prized that they were exported thousands of miles away, turning up in the most significant elite burials of Mesopotamian royalty. Talk about a luxury export. Their civil engineering was millennia ahead of its time. The cross-bricked construction technique, which is a method absolutely essential for building stable, multi-story structures, was perfected in the Indus Valley around 5000 BC. To really put that into perspective, this incredible engineering feat predates its use in ancient Egypt by a staggering 2,000 years. No way, right? They were laying down the very foundations of modern urban architecture, prioritizing strong, well-ventilated, and organized housing alongside their famous, super elaborate drainage systems. Now, get ready, because here is the most mind-blowing fact we've uncovered from the sources. Despite all this immense wealth, standardization, and vast infrastructure across hundreds of miles, archaeologists have stated outright that they found no palace-like structure or evidence of a rule of a king anywhere in Harappan sites. Think about that for a second. There is zero archaeological evidence of absolute monarchs, no grand royal tombs, and no distinct ruling king class that hoarded all the wealth for themselves. So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they organize such a vast trading empire without a dictator calling the shots? Well, instead of a top-down dictatorship, the evidence strongly suggests this sprawling civilization was driven by enterprising families and a remarkably progressive social structure. Researchers believe that the extensive long-distance trade was actually managed by networks of trading families, rather than a strict governmental decree. Furthermore, the societal structure leans heavily toward being matriarchal, pointing to a culture that valued community, family ties, and balance way more than centralized absolute power. The historical evidence clearly shows that women in Harappan society enjoyed an incredibly high status, honestly much higher than in contemporary civilizations like Rome or Greece. They possessed complete economic freedom, actively participating in trade and holding significant decision-making power. The primary deity worshipped was Prakriti, the mother goddess, which really cements this deep societal respect for the feminine. And as a super fascinating everyday detail, the texts even mention that women routinely performed bull riding as a primary means of transportation in the valleys. They were completely integrated, equal participants in this highly dynamic society. When we pull all these pieces together, a breathtaking picture emerges. They constructed a homogeneous, incredibly egalitarian society stretching across hundreds of hectares. It was a civilization that consciously prioritized civic welfare, and by that I mean public baths, hygienic drainage, and standardized housing, alongside fair trade and equality. They completely bypassed the ancient world's typical obsession with warfare, systemic slavery, and the construction of massive monuments just to stroke some ruler's ego. I'll leave you with this final thought, and I want you to really consider this as you look at our own modern world. What incredible lessons can we draw from this forgotten ancient superpower? The Indus Valley Civilization proves without a doubt that a society can achieve massive technological advancement, global economic reach, and stunning urban scale, all while fundamentally valuing equality, women's empowerment, and the well-being of the everyday citizen. It's a powerful, echoing reminder from 5,000 years ago of what human civilization can truly look like. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.